I am excited to welcome Kara Duncan back to the podcast. She is my blog writer, for those of you that don't know. But the last time that she was on the podcast was during one of my marketing series where she was emphasizing the importance of blogging for your long-term marketing efforts. And today we are going to talk about what happens in her business when her marketing efforts actually work. Kara, welcome to the podcast.
Yay. Thanks for having me, Chloe. I'm so excited.
So I'm also going to link my episode on her podcast, The Kara Report, because what we are talking about today is kind of linked to when I emphasized on her podcast over and over again that the one thing that everybody needs is a 5-minute booking process. And Kara's got an interesting take on hers. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. So, Kara, what is so unique about your booking process? First, let's tell the listening audience, are you using a CRM to book your clients, and which one is it?
Yes, I'm using Dubsado. Yeah. And it's so funny because I feel like you've talked about this on your podcast, and I feel like people listening will be able to relate to this. I've heard you talk about a 5-minute booking process. And then after our interview, which was last September, which is like so crazy how a year flew by. And immediately after our conversation, I was like, I need a 5-minute booking process. Like that sounds amazing. But I think there's like, you can set things up so that they're like, quote, technically correct. Like I technically had a proposal that led to a contract and invoice. But one of the things that you said on a podcast, I feel like semi recently was like, people think they're hiring me for workflows, but they're actually hiring me for emails. And I was like, that can't be right. I just need workflows. But then I signed up for the emails like you mean it. And it was like night and day improving my emails.
I mean, I love to hear that. Guys,
Yeah.
just so that you know, she sent me a Vox the other day and she's like, oh my God, like you were so right. She's like, you can turn this into a testimonial or something. So she had a situation where she had somebody who inquired about her services and she wasn't using email client communication like I teach it in the course. She was sending them a pretty standard email, no personality, didn't really tell them what comes next, like all of the things that I tell you not to do. And so she had a situation where she sent that and the client didn't book. And then she was like, oh my God, like they didn't book me. Like, what the hell? And so she went and the very next client, she implemented the client communication like I teach it. And she's like, that's the fastest anyone has ever paid me in life. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is amazing, Kara. I mean, client communication, everybody thinks they have emails and they're doing their job. But what ends up happening when you start looking at your emails individually and as all together, because that's the part that I think most people miss is they're like, oh, that email's fine. But I'm like, yeah, where does it fit in with all of your client communication? And I was on a podcast, The System for Everything, and she ended up naming my episode, The Systems of Pre-Written Communication. And I was like, oh my God, that is what I'm going to call everything from now on. Because I think when I say template, it gets a bad rap. People are thinking, oh, it's going to be very standard. It's not going to sound like me. But what I'm actually talking about is not you writing templates per se. It's actually sitting down and thinking about your client communication as a whole when you are not stressed, when no one is waiting for these emails, so that you can really sit down and think about your process and think about, well, what does my client need to know? What does my client need to do? And what comes next after this one particular email? And so often when we're writing emails in the moment, we're not really thinking about what comes next in our process. We're just thinking, oh, the client's waiting on this email. Let me get this one email written. And so when you take the time to sit down and think about how each piece of client communication fits into your entire process, that is the magic. That is the gold. That is when your clients are actually getting something from you that guides them all the way from inquiry into delivery. But if we come back around to talk about the communication, it definitely helps if you have a 5-minute booking process. If you have that proposal, which when they get it, they look at it, they think, yes, this is exactly what I want. They sign the contract and they pay the invoice. But Kara, you get bonus points because when you send your proposal and this amazing new client communication that has gotten a glow up, you also include something else. What is that something?
Okay, yes. So What I always do is I will just record a super quick Loom video to go with it. And that is because I am in my actively avoiding sales calls era, like so many of us. Like, I mean, I'm a writer, so I like to spend as much of my time in the zone as possible. And, but I found like because what people are investing in is a more long-term relationship kind of service, that I was just like missing a key piece. And so I started recording Loom videos with them, and then I put them in like the emails like you mean it framework with my
Mhm.
proposal, and it just feels so good. So I walk them through. For me, I start on their website and I kind of walk them through what I'm seeing, the same as I would on a sales call. And then I take them over to the proposal. I just find that people are so visual. So, like, if someone's inquiring about Pinterest or blogging, I'm like showing them a sample quarterly blog plan or like how their pins would be delivered for them to approve, like, just in quick, like, really quick, just so they get a visual of what it's like to work with me.
Mhm.
And like Coley said, I missed out on a huge client opportunity, which I feel like we all have one of these stories where I'm like, wow, this would have been such a good client get
Mhm.
for me. And I just like, I was busy. I just sent off the standard and was like, whatever. Like my booking rate has been pretty good lately. And I wasn't just too worried about it. And I'm like, if I had done it properly, and this is why we need systems for our busiest days.
Yes. I mean, but also, I think that you are glossing over what you do with this Loom video. So, guys, I've talked about a replacement sales call video in a couple of different episodes, and I am going to link them in the show notes. But the fact that Kara takes it one step further, she is starting on the client's website. And so this is not just a generic, hi, my name is Kara. I help you with search driven marketing. These are the services that I offer, and this is the one that's right for you. She's actually starting with like their website, because one of the things that I hear over and over again when it comes to people, possibly thinking about my systems offers, is they're always like, oh no, but I have so much done, like I don't know if that's right for me. And so this is kind of like a 1 to 2 minute like mini audit, if you will, if you're starting on their website and you are actually looking at their blogs, you are actually looking at their Pinterest account to show them what it is that you can do to bring value to their business. And then the next step is, and this is how I can do it, and this is how much it costs. Now, the one thing that I didn't ask you before we hopped and we hit record, and I did it on purpose. Sorry, Kara, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you linking the Loom video inside the email, or are you putting it inside of the proposal?
I'm linking it inside the email.
Okay, so guys,
Yeah.
next time you hear from Kara, she is going to start taking these Loom videos. She is going to use the embed code instead of the link, and you're going to put that inside the proposal. Do you know why you're going to do that, Kara?
I really don't.
It's okay. So, one of the things that I talk about for Dubsado emails, Honeybook emails, any of your CRMs, they used to be pretty accurate when you would look inside your CRM and you could see if a client had actually opened an email that you sent. There's a little sent underneath, and then there's an open so that you know when they open it. But the problem now is that all of our email programs are pre-scanning our emails. So every time you get an email in your Gmail, Google is pre-scanning your email to see if it has spam, to see if it has any bad links in it. And that is tricking your CRM into thinking that the client actually opened the email. So anytime you go in Dubsado or Honeybook, if the sent time is exactly the same as the open time, chances are your client didn't open the email that quickly. That was the scan. So if you are sending something in an email that has a button and they have to click it, that is way more accurate than your CRM just looking at the open. And so then if you put the video inside of the proposal, they're clicking on it, they're opening it, you have the video embedded at the top, they're going to see your face, they're going to hit play, and then they can scroll down to the rest of the proposal. I mean, they might even do it while they're hearing you play the video as they're scrolling down the proposal. But that way, everybody is at least getting to the proposal where you have actually made the offer and listed the pricing and like all of that good jazz. So absolutely love that you are replacing your sales calls with a video. I love that it works so well for you, but I just think putting it inside of the proposal is like one more step to make sure that they are actually getting inside your proposal to look at the offer that you've actually made.
Oh, yeah, I love that. It makes sense too, because I'm always like watching, like, Loom sends those little videos, like, your
Mhm.
video has been viewed. And I'm
Yep.
like, by who? So that would be cool to be like, oh, they looked at the whole proposal.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
smart.
then at least you would know if they can't get to the Loom video without clicking on the link. Then you know two different ways. You can see that they've clicked on the proposal inside of Dubsado. And I mean, if you're sending a quote or a proposal or a smart file from any other CRM listening audience, that is the same thing. But then at least she can see that and she can see the Loom video, which would just be awesome. I mean, because sometimes it's not often, but sometimes I get clients that are like, no, I sent a proposal and like they didn't even open it. Like I'm talking about people that I help with their systems. And I'm like, really? And then that's when we take a dive into, okay, but like what was your sent time and what was your open time? Because then if they're the exact same time, I mean, who's going to open an email and not actually click on a button to look at the proposal? That just sounds weird to me. So then I'm like, hey, do you have a phone number? Like you might want to send them a text message just to make sure that your proposal, your smart file, the actual offer didn't end up in a spam folder where the person couldn't actually get to it and see it. Um, I mean, one of the other things, it's going to be out by the time this episode airs, but I recently had a conversation with Dawn Richardson of Flowdesk. And one of the things that she said is coming is that Gmail is actually doing away with like a time based inbox. So, in other words, when you go into your inbox, you are not going to see your emails in chronological order anymore. Gmail is planning on prioritizing emails from people that you interact and engage with. And so think about that. That's actually going to hurt us because if
Yeah.
this is a client that inquired about your services and they're brand new to you, they have no engagement with your emails when you send that proposal, right? If you're sending the initial email that's like, oh, thank you for inquiring, I'll get with you in 24 to 48 hours, which I always recommend. Hopefully they're interacting with that email. But if they don't for some reason, and then you end up sending them the proposal, I mean, are you going to get penalized because they didn't engage with the one and only email that you've sent them? And now you've sent them the offer and maybe they don't see it. Maybe Gmail buries it inside of their inbox. Like, this is just insane to me. But it is going to make getting people to engage with your emails so much more important going forward.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. Yeah, that, and I do have a 24 or an autoresponder or whatever now, so I'm happy that I have that set up.
Yeah. Is your autoresponder, is your automated lead response asking them to do something? I mean, one of the cute things that I've seen is like respond with your favorite emoji or respond with your favorite coffee drink or respond with, a fact that you think is important for me to know about your family. Because I really love when people have automated lead responses. You know that the
Mhm.
early bird gets the worm. I mean, is that the phrase? Like, whatever. If you are one of the
Yeah.
first people that's responding to them, you are more likely to actually get the booking when the time comes. But one of the things that your automated lead response should do is give them something else to look at or engage with. And so if you're giving them like a blog post to look at or a sample gallery to look at, or in your case, like more of a testimonial from someone who's hired you for blog posts, anything that you can do to get them to open the email and click on the email and possibly even respond to the email is going to help you with your email placement going forward.
Oh, I love the idea of like asking them like a question or whatever, like a
Mhm.
low live kind of question. That's so smart.
It doesn't have to be like super long. You don't have to ask them to write you back a novel, but just anything that you can do to keep people engaged in that 24 to 48-hour window when you are looking at their inquiry, making sure that it's a good fit for you and your business or that you're available in the case of like wedding photographers or whatever. Anything that
Hmm.
you can do to keep them engaged with your material is going to help you down the line, both with the booking and now it ends up with them just seeing your emails in the future.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I would also say one of the things that I only implemented after emails like you mean it, which I feel like, let's be honest, the online space has changed so much in the last like 2 years. And I have always, like, I feel like I offer a more unique service where when people inquire, they're typically not looking at like 8 other people that do the
Hmm.
same thing. But one of the things that I've noticed this year, and I'm curious if you as well, but it's like you have to follow up now.
Yes.
You didn't used to. Like, everything was fine if you didn't follow up. Like, I mean, you'll book more people if you follow up, but I'm finding like I almost always have to follow up now.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that it's because of the sheer volume of emails that people are getting and just in
Mhm.
general the noise that's in the online industry and also just how busy we are in personal lives. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I am looking at an email on my phone while I am stopped at a red light and then the light turns green and then I have to drive. And do you know what happens? By the time I have taken my kid to volleyball practice or ran to Costco and came home, in that hour, I've probably gotten 50 more emails. And that's not a
Mhm.
joke. I mean, when people see like my screenshots, they're like, Holy, you have how many unread emails? I'm like, you have no idea. Now, I do filter things into folders so that I can find them. But like, what happens when I forget to do that? What happens when I totally intended to follow up on the email that you sent me, but it got buried in the hour before I could get home and get to my computer? I mean, I try to tell myself don't look at things in the car or, while I'm cooking dinner or whatever, but I mean, we can't stop ourselves, right? And so I feel like I am in agreement with you. Follow-up emails are more important now than ever. And I also say one of the updates that I made, because I used to have a podcast episode about follow up emails. And what I ended up saying was the first one could really just sound like a credit card payment reminder, like just really brief, like, hey, just making sure that you got that proposal that I sent you or that email or whatever it was. But now I'm finding that's actually not enough. Like in each of my emails, I now teach where you should put client testimonials, an additional piece of information to help somebody make a decision, like a link to a client case study or a blog post that's important for them to read before hiring you for your services. Like, we really have to elevate our email game, not only for client communication, but also in email marketing, because people are just inundated with email after email after email. And so you have to find a way to stand out in some way. I'm going to give you guys a tip, and I don't know if this matters to you, but I follow a copywriter and she has an emoji at the end of her send name, right? I notice
Mm.
every time I'm looking at my emails, I can spot that email or emails from her quicker than anybody else because it's a little yellow emoji, right? And so one thing that I did when I switched my email marketing providers this summer was I now have a rainbow on the end of Coley James when I send emails. And at first I didn't really intend to do it on every email. I just did it on one, and someone hit reply and said, "Hey Coley, loved your email today." I immediately saw it when it came in my inbox because of the rainbow. And I was like, "Oh."
Same
And then
as,
I
yeah.
thought, yeah, and then I thought to that other person where I can automatically spot her emails because of the little yellow emoji. And I was like, oh, I'm going to continue to do this. And more people have told me that they can actually immediately spot my emails because they have the rainbow emoji in the from email when they're just looking at a list of their emails.
Yeah, that's so cool. I agree. Like we have to. And that's honestly one of the things that I'm like circling back to like the emails like you mean it course because it was like when you said emails were important, I don't think I realized like how many emails there were. And I also think it makes you feel less like, I don't know if self-conscious is the right word, but I'm like just bumping this to the top of your inbox. Like if you don't know what to say, it's like hard to
Mhm.
follow up. But you're like, no, here's what you need to say.
Like here's a list of things that you can do. And again, I
Yeah.
think that it comes back to planning your client communication as a whole, because
Mhm.
I think that people do feel like, oh, I'm annoying them. Oh, all I'm saying is, did you get my proposal? Are you ready to book me? Are you ready to pay me money? When there are so many other things that you could do inside of the follow up emails to provide value to make sure that they know that hiring you is the best decision that they can make. And so, yes, if you feel stuck and you're like, oh, well, I don't know what to say, that's why it's a good idea to take a couple hours and figure out what to say now so that in the moment you're not like, oh, well, I mean, I just bumping this up, just making sure that you saw that. And I always laugh because the whole making sure that you saw that, well, you know that they saw it if you could see it in Dubsado and you can definitely see that they clicked on the proposal. So, I mean, that makes me laugh a little bit sometimes. So then we even have to use like different words there. I don't actually say just making sure that you saw it. I will say something more like, you might have reviewed it and had questions. I'm just checking in to make sure that those questions got answered. Or I'm sharing a case study where it's something that they either mentioned on a call or that I know is a question that a lot of people have. Because when you're doing your 5 minute booking process, this is something that I get asked all the time. And you, as the blog writer, know the importance of like frequently asked questions on your sales pages and in your blog posts and just on your website in
everywhere.
general. But when I tell people, no, you need frequently asked questions inside your proposal, they always come back with, oh, no, I've got those on my website. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know that they looked at them on your website? And also, this is your opportunity to curate what they are seeing now. Because when they were on your website, they were in a different frame of mind than they were when they actually inquired about your services. Like there is a whole like hurdle that someone jumps over when they're just looking at your website, kind of like browsing in a supermarket versus the intention of you've loaded all the shit in your cart and you're heading towards the cash register. That's where they're at after they've inquired about your services. So you need to treat those as a different mindset. Like one is they're just looking around, they're finding out about you. And the second one is they've loaded up their cart and they're just trying to make sure that they're going to, finish checking out and go through the cash register. So the frequently asked questions that you put on your proposal are way more directed at helping them make a decision versus just telling them about the offer in general.
Yeah, 100%. And I would say, like, we all know this. Like, nobody's going to look at your proposal and then head back to your website. Like, that ever. Like, I don't think that's ever happened. And I'm an analytical buyer. So it's like if someone was going to do that, it would be me. And it's like, no.
You know who does that though, Kara?
You
People who
do?
don't have no.
Oh, I'm like, no way.
People who don't offer awesome proposals like we do. So let me
Yeah, you're
explain.
right.
If you're sending it through 17 hats and there is no opportunity for language about the offer, there is no opportunity for frequently asked questions. If all you're doing is sending them here's my two offers, 5,000, 3,000, pick your poison. I mean, maybe they don't remember why they were going to choose a particular one, or maybe they don't even remember like exactly who you are if they've inquired with 5 other people that do your service. And I will say this little note because, I like to hammer over and over again. I like Dubsado and Honeybook because you can build these proposals that have all of this information in them that help convert. But if you have a CRM that doesn't have that capability, not all is lost. But then the email communication that you send with the quote, the proposal, is more important than ever because then you do have to make sure that you have addressed most of those things inside of the email so that then when they open your quote and they're trying to decide, you've reminded them of those things in the email versus people like you and I who can actually do it in the proposal at the same place where they're making that decision.
Yep, 100%. I agree. And I feel like when I was having less information, so like when I wasn't sending it with a Loom video, when I was like just like I don't know, like back in the days I was just sending a little PDF, it was like there's a little bit more like tension before they can actually book
Mm-hmm.
you, right? And more often than not, people like booked a sales call with me, but almost like because they felt like they had to versus
Mm-hmm.
like, so it's like they didn't care about a sales call. I didn't want a sales call. And yet, and yet it was always happening, right? Versus like, I still mention in my email, like, if you want to hop on a call, like, let's, we can do it. Or I forget how I word it, but it's kind of like a, if you want.
Mm-hmm. Not that
But
it's a
most
requirement.
people don't take me up on it because at the time they have like seen a loom of me being like, I'm so excited, like
Mm-hmm.
you can really like put your energy in it and people feel good about it. And I think like I messaged you after when I was like, after I lost that one client, I was like, this will never happen to me again. I'm just going to do everything that Coley says from now on for the rest of my life. I implemented it and it was like the first time someone had just like proposal, contract, invoice, fastest I've ever been paid. We didn't even have a conversation. Like it was a one-way conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded the loom, they listened to it, and that was like it for communication. And I was like, okay, Coley has been telling me this whole time that it can be that easy, but I do not think that I believed her.
She didn't believe me, guys. She didn't believe me. It's
But I
okay.
would also say, like, when you're One of the things, like when I was sending like an old school PDF proposal, or even when I like set up my like very first, very basic proposal in Dubsado, for me as, like a baby that hates sales as
Hmm.
a business owner, I'm like, it felt just so forward to like respond with like a proposal that was going to link to a contract and invoice. Like, I'm like, eek, because also my email was like, the whole thing felt so transactional, but now
Hmm.
when I send it, I feel so good about it, and it doesn't feel like pushy because I'm telling them in the invoice, like, or in the Loom video, like, this is what's going to happen if you say yes to the proposal. If you want to book a call or you have questions, like, email me,
Hmm.
let me know, like it feels a little bit like I can, the part of me that needs to not feel pushy can come out, and I can feel good
Yes.
about the email that I'm sending.
Absolutely. And I feel like maybe we kind of like just glossed over this. Um, Tell everyone how long the videos are. Because I mean, we said you go to their website, you talk about this, and then you run down the proposal and you tell them, make a connection. But really, in reality, Kara, how long is that video?
Like 7 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I try to keep it under five because I feel like people are busy. And I do think that is the power of video and visuals, because I'm like, how long does it take me to show you an Airtable of like what your pins are going to look like loaded?
Hmm.
1 second.
Yeah.
But they instantly like know exactly what it's going to be like to work together. And like, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I know you've been doing what you've been doing for a long time. I know right away on their website, like, you need to do XYZ before we kind of get started, or like, this is what I would recommend. Or like, you are in a really good spot to set up because of XYZ. I can see
Yeah.
those things right away.
I mean, but that is such value because how many of us like inquire about a service and we're just not sure if it's the right fit. We're not sure that they understand where our business is. Because again, all of us think we're special, like we're unicorns. And in
Yeah.
reality, I mean, all of us run our own very special and unique businesses. But when it comes to like what Kara does, blogging and Pinterest, again, she's the professional. She
Mhm.
can look at your website, look at your blog post, probably even go look at like your rankings or whatever and be like, oh no, like this is what you should be doing. And this is what we're going to do together. Like, I am happy to help you push your business forward using search driven marketing. I mean, I just feel like that would just roll off the tongue so easy for you. And again, like doing this sales call alternative is really great for people who don't like to get on a call and feel like they're being pushy. Like every once in a while I hear how people are like, "Oh no, I hate sales calls." I'm like, "No, I love sales calls."
Yeah.
I love sales calls, and it's not because I'm trying to get you to pay me. I love sales calls because I can make sure in the moment that you understand exactly what I'm saying and what you're going to get. And if it's not a good fit, I will tell you that. And if it's the best fit, I will tell you that. Or if you need something else. But like the one thing that I love getting off of those calls with is clarity for me and for
Mhm.
them. Now, if I think you're a perfect fit and you decide not to hire me, then that's okay. That's on you. But then at least I know that I did my job and I made it perfectly clear why this was the perfect offer for you. And if it wasn't, maybe I'm going to send you to somebody else because quite often I have people come to me and they don't just want Dubsado. They want Dubsado plus something else, or they are in a CRM that I have absolutely no expertise in. And I'm like, hey, I have these buddies over here that will like work on bigger systems with you and will do like the integrations between the different pieces of software to get you where you need to go. But often I might not know that you need that more than you need me until we've actually been on a call. So I feel like with me, I still love to talk to people. I still make an opportunity. It's really funny. Someone on Threads the other day said something to the equivalent of, oh, no, I take sales calls 6 days a week because when you want to pay me money, I want to be there. And I feel the same way. But at
Yeah.
least with your Loom videos, you can make them any time of day that you want.
Yeah, and I think that is what I like about them too, is I can batch them if I have a couple inquiries, and like,
Mhm.
but I would also say for you, you're asking about the back end of their business, whereas like me, I need to know what cold traffic is going to think of your website. And
Yes.
oftentimes that's another thing I would rather say on a Loom video is like, your website needs work. I sweat at the thought of mentioning that in a sales call. Like, I would be like, is this the final version of your website? But in a Loom video, it's a lot easier to be like, listen, like, I think this is, there's some updating that we need to do.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that that is so important with like, yeah, with a Loom video, I'm like communicating and I have a lot of the information I need to know. They might want to tell me some extra things, but
Hmm.
I at least have, and I can easily tell them that it's not the right fit in a way that, or like what it would need to be a right fit. And I would also say for like any service providers listening, one of the things that I think trips people up is like I don't want to like give away my process in a Loom video because I'm like showing them like this is exactly my process. This is
Hmm.
what it's going to look like if we're working together. But I would say one, my people absolutely don't want to do it themselves. So I could never give them enough that they would want to do it themselves. I honestly
I
think
mean,
that.
that's truthful. Okay,
Right?
check.
And
I agree.
like, no, they don't want to do it themselves. And I would say, even if they're like not ready, whether they decide that they're not ready or I tell them, like, I would do a few things first,
Hmm.
I'm going to be the first one they come back to because it's like, I'm going to have the best email. I did a Loom video for them and I'm going to follow up with them now because Coley ensures that I do.
Yeah. I mean, and I totally agree with you. So many of us have offers, and I've actually had people that told me they paid me specifically because I told them, I'm not teaching you rocket science. Like, if you really have the time and you go through all my blog posts and you listen to my podcast episodes and you watch my YouTube videos, you could probably figure it out on your own. Like, it's going to take you a
Yeah.
lot longer than if I just guide you through the process. But, like, there is nothing that I am teaching you that you really can't figure out yourself given enough time, given no constraints. But that's not why people hire me. People hire me for the easy button. They want me to just tell them what to do, give them feedback on it once they're done, and then they move on to the next step. Whereas with you, I completely agree because you have a blogging course. Like, I know how to blog. I just don't wanna. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think I've written 2 blog posts this entire year of 2025. And it was only because I was like, ooh, I really want to put this out. And Kara's already writing a different one for me. Like, let me just write this down really quick because I want to send it in an email. And that's the other funny thing. I think you haven't been back on the blog post since I interviewed Candace that one time. And so, in the same marketing series, Candace is also one of Kara's clients. And when she was telling me all the things that Kara did for her, and I remembered and realized that we were talking about the same person, I remember voxing you after, oh my God, you're doing all these things for her. Like, can I add this stuff to my, can you just send me an invoice? Because yes, there were so many more things that you could have been doing for me that you weren't at that point. And like, now I don't want to do those things either. I want to do, like, it's funny. I want you to do all that stuff. And I just want to make sure that everybody has a 5 minute booking process and has awesome client communication. Like, if it's not those two things, I am pretty much trying to outsource it at this point because
Yeah.
that is where my time is best spent.
Yeah, totally. And I would say like it sounds so like I don't know if it's like woo woo or like fluffy, but it's like what like people want the result that I'm giving them with blogging and Pinterest, which is why they hire me, right? Which is why I'm doing them like a disservice. Like if I'm not selling them on it, I feel like now that I have your stuff, I'm like, yeah, Chloe, I would have been so mad if you hadn't told me that I should do this and you were just holding that information. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, it's my pleasure. And again, I'm going to take that video clip of you saying, I just do what Coley says from now until eternity.
And
Truly,
I mean
I,
it. Like, I don't know why it takes me so long when I know you're always right. And that is a testament to how hard it is to cut through the noise because I'm like listening to Coley's podcast at the grocery store or in my car. And I'm like, I got to go home and do that. I got to go, ask Coley about that. And yeah. But once I do, I'm like, where has this been?
yes.
I could be getting paid so much faster. Like, I'm so mad.
I mean, I also feel like this is probably a shout out for anybody who thinks they talk about the thing that they do, too much. How many times have y'all heard me on this podcast say everybody needs a 5 minute booking process? And if the people who actually work with me listen to me and they're like, oh, yeah, like I know she's right, but like I'll get around to it eventually. And then they do it and they're like, oh, wow, that shit really works. Like, imagine how many more times I have to say it for a stranger to get it. Like, I mean, this
Mhm.
is like I don't want to say it's a true aha moment for me, but I feel like I'm going to think about this, Kara, every time that I think to myself, oh my gosh, I've mentioned that 5 minute booking process too many times because I recently sent a poll out in my newsletter, which because you clicked on one of the responses. But basically, I was saying, I need to know what to talk about next. Like, these are the three options. And one was making sure that your contact form and your auto response email was where it needed to be. The second one was making sure that you had a rebooking process so that you could get rebooked and referred and reviewed at the end of working with someone? Or do you still feel like you need to work on your booking process? And 83% of people picked booking process. And I'm like, how is this still a thing? I have how many blog posts? I have a proposal template that you can buy in the shop. That's the one thing that I didn't turn off in the shop. I'm like, I don't understand why I'm still talking about this over and over again. But again, that's motivation for me to talk about it over and over again, because clearly there are still people who haven't gotten the message or who need to hear that.
Yeah, and I would say like too, I would say this as like a general rule, but I think too often we like cross things off our list. Like I was like, well, Coley said 5 minute booking process, and I've technically linked everything. Check. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
like now that I have emails like you mean it, and I'm like, oh, the emails and the verbiage and stuff is all, what it should be. I'm like, okay, wow, I did not have a 5 minute booking process.
It's
And
okay. I
now I
still love you,
know.
Kara.
And I write for a living, and my emails were like, not like this.
Well, okay, but actually, let's talk about that, because one of the things that I feel like I come up against all the time is I'm talking about client communication and everybody else is talking about email marketing. And the funny thing is, if you're on my email list, it's about 50-50. Sometimes you get an email that I wrote, and sometimes you get an email that Kara wrote. It really just depends on what kind of mood I'm in, on whether or not I have had enough leeway to tell her to write an email or if I have to write it myself. But like, those emails are written by one of us. My client communication is all written by me. But also, like, the rules are different, and what each of those kinds of emails needs to have is different. So I mean, Kara is an email marketer, she is a blog writer, she is a Pinterest strategist. I mean, she has all of these gifts. But in my opinion, I think she had the right pieces. She just wasn't applying what she already does to her email marketing, to her client communication. But again, like, that's one of those things where we are laser focused on what we do and what we're good at. And the rest of it just seems like, oh, we'll get to it when we get to it. But really, I mean, yes, I taught Kara some things in Email Like You Mean It that she didn't know, but most of it were things that she did know and that she does awesome inside of her email marketing. But she needed to be told to translate that into her client communication.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we're like too close to what we do to know what to include in those emails. Like, not when we're marketing it, but like in that closer sales process. Like, this person, like, my marketing worked, they're in my inbox.
Yeah.
What do I say now when I like, yeah, feel like I've said everything, when I'm like, don't want to seem pushy, when I want to have personality, but I still want it to be like clear, like it's easy to get stuck. And you're right. It's like a lot of times we feel like we know what to say, but I feel like also those like final moments are like so precious. And not that like you have to be like perfect about it, but it's like when you get it right, you get it right.
And also, I mean, again, I don't think that the stressful part can be underestimated, because, again, a lot of us feel like if we've got this client email and we don't know what to say and we are writing it from scratch, I mean, there is pressure, there is stress,
Mhm.
there is, oh my gosh, I have to write this email, I have to get it out the door. And it doesn't matter if you've written something similar to different clients in the past, your mind is completely blank. Like, or you're digging through your emails that you sent to past clients, like, wait, what did I send to a client last time they asked me that question? Oh, let me go copy and paste it. And then it's not really what would be optimal to send. You're just trying to find something to say to get the email written, to get it out the door. I mean, I love when people tell me that now they feel like they can take a break from their inbox, because if you have written good client communication and you've automated most of it inside of your CRM, you do really feel like you could take a step back, so that if a client emails you at, let's say, 4 p.m., but they've already gotten all of this really great client communication, you doing it then or sending them the personal response the next morning is not going to make or break whether or not they hire you, or if they've already paid you money, it's not going to make or break how they feel about working with you. But if all
Mhm.
of your client communication up to that point has been shitty, or non-existent, and then you take a night to respond to them, then it's just compounding the bad
Mhm.
experience or the lack of client communication that they've had up to this point. And so then you really are doing yourself and them a disservice.
Yeah, totally. And I would say, I forget who I heard talk about this, but someone mentioned like no one is more unsure if hiring you is the right decision than like the person that just hit submit on the
Yes.
contact form, right? So it's like they need reassurance right away.
And I would
Because they were
even,
sure while they were filling out the contact form. But the
they
second
were.
they had submit, they were like, oh, wait, like,
Well, and the one moment that I talk about in email like you mean it that no one thinks about is actually someone is never um never more unsure. I don't know. I think I just said two negatives, but whatever. The moment that they pay you is actually
mm,
more substantial than when they hit the contact form, because then they've just paid you a lot of money. And if you're not doing a booking confirmation email that really guides them to the next step and assures them that they made a good, decision in paying you all this money, then you really are compounding all of their fears of whether or not they just spent their money well. And I mean, it depends on a lot of different factors, how much you cost, how sure they were to begin with. But in general, you never
mhm.
want someone to feel unsure the moment that they paid you. And so you really do need to follow up immediately after with a thank you so much. You're officially on my calendar. This is what happens next, guiding them through the process, even if you just did it in your proposal. Because again, this is like they paid you. They're in a different mindset now than they were 10 minutes ago before they logged into their PayPal and hit pay, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is so true.
All right. So, in conclusion, I think that we can all just say do what Coley said, but also seriously, Kara.
That is the takeaway, honestly. Like, if you're listening to me, if you're listening to the podcast every week, like I was, do it faster than I did.
Yeah. I mean, I want everybody to have a 5-minute booking process. And guess what, guys? If you are like, okay, Coley, like, I don't know what that means. I need help. I need steps. I'm not even going to pitch you a paid product right now. I'm going to link 2 different blog posts that Kara wrote about the 5-minute booking process that are on my blog, because that is what she does for me. And they are both super awesome. And they are both, very informative, and they will help walk you through how to look at your current process and make sure that it has all the pieces that you need to convert your potential clients in less than 5 minutes. Kara, thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So, in conclusion, the show notes. The show notes this time, more than any other episode I have ever done, is full of goodness and things that you should review in order to give your systems a glow up. But that's it for this episode. See you next time.